Michael Heaver here with Nigel Farage. How are you, Nigel?
I'm good.
Good. First thing I'd like to ask you about this LBC. It's an interesting relationship you've got now. You've just started your Sunday show there. You've been there a while. The audience seems to be building. How do you see your sort of relationship with LBC? Obviously, it gives you a voice. It's quite interesting.
I love it. Simple as.
Yeah.
I love it. It's great. I mean, look, where else can you have the opportunity to, number one, engage with the public, which I've always loved doing. Now, normally it's face-to-face or perhaps in pubs or whatever it is. But the chance to interface with the public, which I've always enjoyed, but also a chance to comment on a pretty much daily basis on what the news events are. So I do the evening show Monday to Thursday. It's almost like a press conference. And Ofcom, the way the market's regulated, actually is rather more grown up than I'd ever imagined. I'm entitled to give my opinion, provided I appeal to get the other side of the argument. And if I don't appeal and get the other side of the argument, it's not a very good show. So, what's not to like? Really enjoying it. Been there since the first week of January, doing it on a regular basis. Extended it now to the Sunday show, just on one of them. Will it work, won't it? Let's see. But I'll do my damnedest to make sure that it does.
You had some good argy-bargy with Peter Hain on there, didn't you? It was a good discussion.
Actually, this is really interesting because I think this. So often you watch the big political interview and actually it's more of a debate. It's more of a duel than it is an interview. And whilst I did bite back once or twice at Peter Hain, generally I let him have his say. And I think the point of interviews is to let people express their opinion. Yeah. They're out there, they're in the public domain, to try and tease out of them why they believe in this, where they think it's going, why to them it matters. And the joy of talk radio is that you can do that and then have 45 minutes debate with the public about whether they're right or wrong. It's a great format. So, no, the way the Peter Hain thing was done, and I'm very grateful to Peter Hain for coming on as my first guest on that show, is I will let people, regardless of their point of view, have their say. And I hope that interview proved that people who have different points of view can be civilised about debating it.
Yeah. Now, speaking of Peter Hain, the Labour position on Brexit, this mythical beast that seems to be changing week by week. What do you make of?
Oh no, you're all wrong there. You're spouting a David Davis line. Good PR, good spin. In 14 months, Labour have had 10 different positions. It all sounds great. Labour at sea, Labour in chaos. Baloney. It's settled. It's done. The Labour position now won't change. Labour now are an enemy of real Brexit happening. That is clear. That won't change. And that's been, in a sense, the biggest political development in UK politics over the last week.
What do you think the likely sort of backlash across the country is going to be from the Leave voters who saw in the Labour manifesto very clearly committed to open borders, that's coming out single market, and now this basically the hijacking by the Remoaners?
I think they're in for a shock. I do. I think that in the Midlands, the north of England, South Wales, areas like that, a lot of former UKIP voters voted Labour and felt confident to do so. They will not be feeling so confident today.
No. Just obviously, you've been out in Brussels and Strasbourg for a number of years. People think you're obviously a massive political figure in Britain, but you're also one of the longest serving MEPs. I'm interested in what
I've been out there as long as you've been alive.
Well, exactly.
I mean, I'm a veteran.
Yeah.
What
it must be a very weird feeling out there at the moment. Sort of
it's a bit like being on death row, really. Yeah. I mean, it's a sort of matter of time before we all get bumped off. It is strange. I mean, obviously we've had the summer break. I'll get the mood back there. I'm back there tomorrow, and perhaps again on Thursday. I think it began with denial. Just Brexit. It hasn't really happened. It's an aberration. It's a mistake. It'll be corrected. It'll be overturned. Because they've done it before with the Danes. They've done it twice with the Irish. They kind of thought it'll be overturned. Now they realise that it's potentially really coming down the tracks at them. They're getting very embittered. They're getting very angry. And I thought, to be honest with you, that Barnier's behaviour at the press conference last week with David Davis and his subsequent comments shows people that are really scared. They're really, really scared that Brexit begins the disintegration of their beloved project. And because what we're up against here, we're up against nationalists, real extreme EU nationalists who couldn't care less how much the people of Europe suffer. They just want to preserve their dream.
Do you think there will be a deal?
Wow.
Do you think it's more or less likely?
I think it looks less likely now than it looks a week ago. I got the impression from Barnier at that press conference of a man who doesn't want a deal. Because they keep saying to the British, jump, and we keep asking how high, and we keep doing it, and none of it's ever good enough. None of it's ever good enough. My view, and I would advocate that we go on for the next month or two trying to hold the high moral ground, trying to do the decent thing, trying to honour our genuine obligations. But there comes a point towards the end of October where if this is getting nowhere, why go on whistling in the wind? Just walk.
Just turn it to something you warned about years ago, actually, the migrant crisis and the jihadi terror threat. Now, we now see people like the Libyan government coming out. We've got the EU's counter-terrorism coordinator admitting that he thinks over 50,000 jihadis are now in Europe. How does it make you feel? Someone who warned about this years ago was basically ignored or derided to see all of this, sadly, become a reality.
No one said sorry. No one. Not one of the legions who lined up to say that I was racist, neo-fat. Not one of them has apologised. Not one. I can't believe it. Surely decent people would admit they were wrong and apologise, but because it's politics, isn't it? Look, I think, to be honest, even my most pessimistic view of what was going to happen here has been far exceeded by truth and reality. I think we're in a very bad place. I think we're in for decades now of a very difficult and literally bloody fight. And I believe we've brought it all upon ourselves.
What measures do you think could be taken, should be taken? What should the government be doing with the situation now as we find it, do you think, in terms of the jihadi threat? Would you support, for instance, arming the police?
Well, I wouldn't start from here, of course, as, you sort of ask the Irishman the directions. I wouldn't start from here. Look, London Bridge, 3 of them get out of the van, they're on London Bridge, they're making their way down to Borough Market, and a policeman doing his duty, brave boy, confronts them, 3 of them, with an extendable truncheon, and has a go, and for his pains gets stabbed in the eye, stabbed in the arm, and lucky actually to come away with his life. He should have had, at a minimum, a taser, or perhaps even a pistol. Now, I personally go for a pistol, and would have wasted them there and then. But okay, if we've got concerns about pistols, if we've got concerns that the wrong people might get shot and killed, and I do understand that, if we have those concerns, then at an absolute minimum, our police have to have a taser.
Just changing topics slightly, one thing I think is getting very underreported of what's going on at the EU at the moment is the disunity that we now see with the EU when it comes to Poland, Czech Republic and Hungary, particularly Poland on this migrant crisis. Really, a real escalation we're seeing now. The Polish Prime Minister basically pushing back, saying they will not be blackmailed by Brussels. Where does this all end, do you think? Well,
it's Poland, Hungary, Slovakia and the Czech Republic. Those 4 countries, the Visegrad countries, who are absolutely clear they will not accept migrant quotas under any circumstances. The Hungarians, indeed, had a referendum on this. The Poles are now being harassed by Brussels over changes to their constitutional court. And you've got two splits now. You've got the North-South split over the euro and the East-West split over culture and migration. I mean, look, it could be kept together and kept going for many years to come. I doubt it. But inevitably, the European project is coming to an end. So thank goodness we will not be there. I had a caller yesterday on LBC. It's all right, Nigel, he said, don't worry, mate. He said, we don't need to leave. It's going to crash to pieces anyway. I said, yeah, I don't want to be on the train when it hits the buffers. I'd rather not be there when that disaster occurs. It's done. It's finished. It's dying. But it might take a long time.
The Donald. Obviously, you're someone who supported him, that incredible revolution that we saw in 2016. It's been a bit of a turbulent time. We've seen people enter the White House, leave the White House. Steve Bannon, obviously someone that I think you know, that's involved with Breitbart and things like that. How do you reflect on what's been going on with Trump and the White House?
Well, I think Steve Bannon leaving, in a way, he goes back to Breitbart, an organisation that he picked up following the death of Andrew Breitbart. He turned it into a media phenomenon. I suspect he'll go back and do even more with it. It'll be, to quote McDonald, huge. I think, from what I can deduce, the relationship between Bannon and Trump is sound as a pound. Everything's fine. But Steve will be far less constrained running Breitbart than he was sitting inside the West Wing to fight for the right values and to shift the agenda. So I'm not perturbed or concerned by that. I have been concerned by some of the military intervention efforts that we've seen. But on North Korea, it's a different thing, isn't it? I mean, this is not wanting to invade a country for the sake of regime change. This is a question of confronting somebody who is flexing his muscles and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And, we saw a certain German chancellor in the 1930s doing exactly the same things. So, no, I think Trump, it's been turbulent. It's always going to be turbulent. He's not your regular guy in terms of politics. Maybe a regular guy in terms of the real country, but not in terms of politics. I think he's doing well with the floods. He's showing a willingness to be there. He's doing rallies in Arizona and elsewhere around the country. Same fervour, same energy. The base still supports him. The more CNN and the others attack him, in a sense, the stronger that base will get. He's doing okay. He's doing okay. But the crucial thing is he has to get that Republican Party together. He has to get Congress behind him. He has to get tax reform between now and next November for the midterms. And that's the thing that I can't read right at this moment in time.
UKIP leadership race, obviously very, very turbulent time for that party as well. Been through all sorts of leaders and a very, very, very hard campaign, brutal campaign. Yeah. What's your outlook on the party? What's your outlook on the leadership contenders? What are your thoughts at the moment with UKIP moving forward?
Not really engaged. Yeah. I think, if former leaders interfere with this sort of thing, it's the old backseat driver story. I'm dismayed to see 11 candidates. I think that's really bad news. I thought we'd set the criteria high enough to stop that happening, but it hasn't. It's too many candidates for the whole thing to be taken seriously. One questions the whole management of the party to have allowed 11 candidates to go through to what's the final round. Who's going to win? Goodness only knows. I mean, with that number of candidates, you may as well play the child's game of pin the tail on a donkey. I just don't know. I don't know. I think UKIP has an important space in the political spectrum, particularly given the Labour Party's change of position, the reluctance of May to do other than transition and all the rest of it. I think potentially the space is there, but boy, they've got to sort themselves out.
Now we've covered some of your speeches where you've made very clear that if Brexit was messed up, if it was blocked, whatever, you would have no option but to come back to the front line. Do you think with everything that's unfolding, the way things are going, that now looks more likely? I mean, we on Westminster, every stream we do, everyone wants to know, when's Nigel coming back? Is he coming back? There's a lot of people are asking that. Do you think that's becoming...
Well, I'll tell you something. I'm not going to come back for the sake of it. Yeah. I'm not going to come back to it for my health. I've done it. It's exciting. It's challenging. It's full on. But it's loathsome. Absolutely loathsome place to be. You know, you have no life. It's a 24/7 job. It never ever goes away. Now, you know, I never did it for a career. If I wanted a career, I'd have stayed where I was in the commodities business. I did it because I thought something major needed to happen, needed to change, and I proved myself in terms of patience, and I stuck with it, you know, for all those long years. I don't want to go back and do anything in politics. But if they make a mess of it, I'll have no choice.
Nigel Farage, thank you very much.
Thank you.